Hey, and welcome here to Sixwheelsdown. Today we will do some service on the new Royal Enfield Classic 350 that I bought. I've just passed the 300 miles, so I'm actually a bit over it, closer to 400 I think. So it's time to do the first service according to the manual. And one of the reasons why I like this little machine here is that it's so simple. It's a little single cylinder engine and everything is so basic, so I can actually do all the service myself. And not only I can, but I also will, because I think it's kind of fun. So today I will do the oil change, and we will do the adjustments of the valves, or the tappets as people also call it. So let's get going on that. Yes, early in the morning. My wife went to work here at 6, so I thought I'd better get up and just get started. But it's raining, so I'm just pulling in here a little bit. I still have water here on the seats, but it's fine. We'll be doing it here. But first, to be able to adjust the tappets or the valves, I need the seats off, and I will need the fuel tank off to get the top cover off the engine block here where the valves are sitting. So before doing that, I want to remove all the fuel from the fuel tank, and for that I had to buy a little tool here, a little pump that can get the fuel out. It was very inexpensive. In the United States we have this Harbor Freight company, and they sell this pump here for I think $7, so it's not very expensive, but I think it will do the job. So let's try to, and I just have a fuel can here to pump it into, so let's see if that works. Oh yeah, it works. It's running into the can, I can hear. Yeah, and with the fuel out of the tank, that was super easy with that pump. Took no time. Now it's the seat I want off. And if you look in here, we have 2 bolts sitting here holding the seat in place. I haven't done this before. It's my first time, but I suppose both of these here will have to come out, unscrew the nuts here, pull the bolts out, and then the seat can come up. So that's to get to the fuel tank here later. So let's start with that. And I could see one of them here at least was a 12. So let's see if we can get that one off. Very easy. Very easy. Oh, it fell down. Well, I guess. And the other one is a 12 too. So we get that one as well. I guess it's easier to find these bolts here when I have the seats out, and then we can pick them up again. Twist them on the other side. There it is. Just have a counter hold here. That's the thing with motorcycles, everything is so tight. There's not much room to work on, but it can be done. And now the seat here should be loose, yeah. And it comes right off. So easy peasy. And now we can see here, this is where the 2 bolts were sitting, right there. But the next here is the bolt here on the tank. So we need to loosen that one, take that out, and then the tank flips up. We need to get to all the hoses and electrical connectors for the fuel pump. All that stuff sits underneath. So I think we need to flip that one up to get to it. And these two here, that's a 10 millimeter on the one side, and an 8mm on the other side. So I'll just use 2 different branches, so I have a counter hole for that. And just as a good work practice, I have a little box here. I keep all my bolts and nuts and washers and everything in, so we don't lose anything. And let me just say it, here it becomes a little tight. I just put a little wooden board in here to keep it tilted up, the tank. And you can kind of see in here, there are different connectors. Can you see this one up here? That one we need out. And there is like a little tap somewhere to press. I think it's on the rear side. Yeah, there it was. See, next I removed these 2 here. You can see there are like 2 nozzles sitting in here, a big and a small, and there are 2 corresponding hoses. This one here and this one here. So the one there is a large and that's a small, and they fit these 2 nipples in there. You can simply reach in with your hands, pull them out, and these are the breather hoses. But see, now I just propped the tank up with a piece of wood here to create space so I can see what's going on here from the rear end of the tank. And see this hose here, that's the one that feeds the fuel pump. So that's a fuel line, and that's the last one we need off. We already took the connector, the electrical connector on the other side. So this one, you can see, sits in here, and it has this yellow, let me see if I can get a flashlight in. It has some yellow push buttons there on the side, right there. And I push these and pull this back, and I should be able to get it out. And here it comes. So that's the fuel line. So we will have a little fuel leaking out now, but that's okay. We have taken the majority. We emptied the tank before, so it might leak. So I will guess we can lift the whole tank off now. See if that works. Unless we have more connections. There's the one there. What do we have here? Looks like there is one more connection. And yes, there is one more connection up there. It's not easy to film this. Okay, here it comes. So it has this little plastic cover over, and then it has this thing you push there. You can see it just on one side, and then the whole connection came out. So let's try again. Oh, here it comes. Look how elegant. And see, what we need to achieve is we need to get this valve cover off with these screws sitting. There are 3 screws on top of this cover here. But to get to it, I think we will have to take some of these cables here and try to move them a bit away. I can see there is some screws sitting here. If I loosen these, I bet we can move it a bit out of the way to have more space to work here. So that's these seems to be 10mm bolts. So let's just try to loosen them and see what happens. I hope that can give us a little wiggle room here to work on. You see, it's kind of fun to do the service yourself on this motorcycle. Okay, now the whole thing is used. So the 3rd bolt down here we don't need to loosen. Just the two of them. And then I hope we can removing that plug here for the get all of this here a little out of the way. That would be nice. You know what? I will take that one too, because that gives a little more space. It's easier to move it then. Come on. Oh yeah, now we can take all this out of the way. And you know what? I think I'll get a few zip ties so I can tie this away. Then it's easier to get this. Okay, so let's try to take the valve cover off here. So these are 10. And these bolts here are actually torqued to a certain torque value. I can't remember if it was 10 Newton meter or something like that. So I actually went to Harbor Freight and bought a cheap torque wrench to measure torque with, because stuff like this here, you can cross the ceiling that is in there if you don't torque it correct. So I like to do that the right way. And don't be scared with all the hoses and wires. It might look a little complicated, but it's not. This here is very simple, I would say. That's something most people would be able to do. And now the valve cover here should be coming loose. Might need something just to pry it open a bit. Let's see. Be careful. Don't want to damage anything. There it comes. It's just the seal that is binding a bit. I see. Now we need to be careful, because the ceiling is sitting in here and we don't want to rip it. That's the last thing we want to do. Let's try and look here from the other side. Yeah, there we can kind of see it coming. You can see the seal there. And it sits up in a groove here in the lid. So we kind of need to work it out of there. Just use your fingers. Carefully pull it out of that groove there, all the way. Try from the other side. Take the rest. This is easy. Oh, it comes out very nicely. Very nicely. See, here we have it. Here is the cover. Well, that wasn't really bad. I would say this is something anybody who owns one of these motorcycles can do themselves. If I look at how difficult this job is, I would say on a scale from 1 to 5, where 5 is the most difficult and 1 the simplest, I would give it a 2. This is really simple, just taking some bolts apart and some connectors and hoses. And it's very self-explaining where they go. you can see even these breather hoses have different diameters, so you can't really swap them. So it's pretty bulletproof. And that means now we are down and can see the top of the engine here, and you can see the valves sitting here. So the front one here, that will be the exhaust, and this is pretty self-explaining because that's where we have the exhaust. So that one opens and the exhaust gets out. So that's the out, and the inlet, air in, that's the one here furthest back towards the rear of the engine. And if you look up in your manual, you can actually see the gap specification on these, and it's 0.08 millimeters on the rear and 0.18 on the front. So now we just need a feeler gauge. That's a tool you use to measure that with. Let's try that. And to do that, we need the engine to be top dead center. That means the piston inside needs to be on top inside the cylinder. And you can see there is a little mark sitting there, little notch, can you see it? And we need to rotate so that this one comes up. And how do we do that? So I have shifted it up to 5th gear, and now I can rotate the wheel here, you can see, and thereby rotate the engine. And now I need to keep rotating until this notch comes on top. Now it's on bottom. And let me show you. So you can see we have the notch there on top now, but we also have this here on top. And that's where you can buy a special tool that goes in there and down there and locks it in top dead center position. But it should be there now. And now we should be able to wiggle the valves here. See, this one has wiggle room. Also this one, that means they're loose. That's what they should be. So we have top dead center of the cylinder, and we have wiggle room here. That means it's good. Now we need. So this is a feeler gauge, because you feel the gap with it. And you can see it has all these different blade sizes here. And we need to find a 0.8 and a 0.18. 0.08, there's 0.08. And we need a 0.18. There it is. These are the two we need. All the other ones can be flipped away. So 0.08 millimeter and 0.18 millimeter. The biggest gap is the front. That's a 0.18. So let's start with that one and try to measure that. And we simply go in here and we measure the gap on top of the tablets there. And it's kind of hard to get in, so it's tight. See, that's too tight. And that's why we need to do this adjustment. That's typically what happens here, that it gets too tight. We measure the other side as well to check where we are with that one. That one is too tight as well. I can't even get the 0.08 in. So see, good thing we are doing this, because they need to adjust it. And see, I have just taken a little bit here from my little wrench set, and I just use the bit without the ratchet, because that can fit down there with a flat screwdriver, fits into the top, and I can now turn these. And I have a number 10 wrench here. So with that I will simply go in and loosen up the valve. And now it's loose. And now we can do our adjustment here. So I will simply loosen it up a bit to make room for the feeler gauge. And this was the number 18. That's the outlet. So for that one we put the number 18 in here. And see, now it slides freely it needs to go down where we can kind of feel that it starts nipping. That's right there. And right when it starts nipping, you feel resistance. Slight resistance there. Now we need to tighten it. Then it's correct. And I do a counter hold with the and look, man, it's perfect. And we do the same to the other side here, to the inlet. So that came really good with the outlet side. Now we do the same for the inlet. I hope we can be as lucky to get it in first shot there. And here we need, oh no, I flipped away from that one. But we needed the 0.08. There it is. And if you don't have these feeler gauges here in America, I found them in Harbor Freight. They had them. I think they were $5 for a set of these feeler gauges. So it's not really that expensive to get if you don't have them already. It's tight here. Can I even get in with this one? No, I can't. Well, we have to go even smaller then. And then don't drop anything into the engine here. So I make room here with the feeler gauge. There we go. I tighten down. That was too tight. There we are. There we are. And I counter hold. We spin this nut here. It's almost there. And we tighten it. Now let's feel. See, that I'm not happy with. It's too loose. So then we just loosen again. And we tighten a bit more. There. And we feel it again. Oh yeah. Perfect, perfect. And before the job is done, just want to double check. So I put my feeler gauge in again here. And we haven't changed anything. By tightening it. Perfect resistance there. You can just feel that it's nipping a little bit, not much. And we need the 0.18. That's this one coming here. And we feel the other side as well. Yeah, this is really good. Really good. This is perfect. I just noticed the gasket here. It sits with that groove up into the lid, and I think it's easier to unscrew it here, put it up in the groove in the lid, and then put the whole thing down and put these screws back in. So let's just unscrew these two. And this is a hex number 4 screw. And as this motorcycle is produced outside of US, it's worth noticing everything is metric. All tools you need are metric. So you might have to go on to Harbor Freight and buy a few tools. It's not that expensive, it's not that many you need, but for instance these here, you need a set of metric hexes. And now we should be able to pull this one right up, I would guess, at least. Or what? Then let's see this whole gasket here. See, that's my concern, to get that one in. So I'll just try to, with my fingers, to stuff it back in here where it needs to sit. Gently put it back in. We get a good fit all around. Yeah, you can kind of feel where it goes, and then simply stuff it in with your fingers. That works. Do that the whole way around. So these are not necessary to take off. That's just because I hadn't done this before. But next time I definitely won't take these off. That's unnecessary. So this was the valve adjustment. Now it's just a reverse process, putting everything back on again. Yeah, so this pretty much covers the valve adjustment. So now I just need to get some fuel back in the tank, and we will have completed this task here. Try to start up the engine and see how it sounds. Hopefully all is good. Okay, with fuel in the tank, let's try to start up and see. Better make sure we have it in neutral. That's not easy. Well,